Indiana's wine industry could be getting a boost this legislative session, what one senator is proposing. Plus, Carrie Schneider has this week's visit with our friends at the Dubois County Humane Society, and Jasper Chamber Executive Director Nancy Eckerly is tonight's guest for Inform. All of that and much more is up next here on the 18 WJTS News. Hello, I'm Bradford Raths. We begin with an update on Saturday's fatal fire near Dubois. Authorities have not yet been able to definitively identify the remains that were found at the scene of the house fire. Dubois County Coroner Bob Beach says an examination of the remains by a forensic pathologist found that they are of a man in his 50s who died in the fire. The date of death is listed as Saturday, and the location is the 9700 block of North 400 East. Beach says the name of the victim could not be determined. He says an anthropologist will now be consulted to try and definitively identify those remains. Now, Michael Bauer is presumed to have died in the fire, which burned for more than 12 hours on Saturday. Becker Kleesner Funeral Home in Jasper has sent us an obituary for a Michael Bauer of Dubois who passed away Saturday afternoon at home. The funeral home says Bauer was 56 years old and funeral arrangements are still pending. The Dubois County Community Foundation has announced the appointment of a pair of new board members. The foundation says new members Andy Sager and Dr. Kim Gunderson will be part of a 15-member board that oversees the foundation's finances, grant-making policies, and practices in strategic planning. Sager serves as Chief Financial Officer for Wabash Valley Produce. He's a graduate of the Indiana University Kelley School of Business and serves on the Board of Diversified Maintenance Systems, which is a janitorial-based business based in Tampa, Florida. He also works in portfolio investment for Frontenac Company, which is a private equity firm based in Chicago. Sager serves on the advisory board of the Johnson Center for Entrepreneurship and Innovation for Indiana University and for both the Economic Development and Redevelopment Commissions in the city of Jasper. Sager resides in Jasper with his wife Audrey. The couple have 4 children. Meanwhile, Dr. Gunderson is an optometrist at Gunderson Eye Care in Jasper, which she and her husband opened back in 2006. The IU graduate has served as an examiner for the National Board of Examiners of Optometry and is also a member of the Jasper Lions Club. Other community involvement includes being the past president of the Ireland Elementary PTO and being on the Jasper Chamber of Commerce's Board of Directors. Kim and her husband Todd live in Ireland with their 3 sons. Now, there have been other changes to the board recently as well. These include the appointment of Pat Miller as president, replacing Bill Kaiser. Jen Verkamp replaced Miller as vice president. A pair of bills filed by District 48 State Senator Mark Mesmer aim to make life easier for Indiana wineries. The bills are Senate Bill 337 and Senate Bill 338. Now, Bill 337 is designed to make it easier for distributors to directly sell wine to consumers. If passed, wine distributors would no longer have to meet face-to-face with consumers. New provisions would be put into place for direct shipping if proper guidelines were to be followed. Additionally, current limits on wine that can be shipped in Indiana would raised by 2.5 times more than the limit under the current law. Meanwhile, Bill 338 is more aimed at farm wineries. If that's passed into law, it would allow for those wineries to get permits for selling and shipping their product. However, there would be limits put in place. The limits would be $301 per bottle or gallon, and no more than 5,000 gallons of wine sold or shipped over a permit period. Mesmer says the changes in policy are long overdue.
These bills are a necessity to the wine industry, not only to help local business owners, but to strengthen the Indiana economy and provide convenience for consumers.
On a related note, Mesmer presented Special Joint Resolution 2 at the Indiana State House last week. That resolution honored the Indiana Winery and Vineyard Association for 40 years of service. Mesmer also recognized them for providing Hoosier jobs, supporting Indiana's economy, and nurturing Indiana's grape and wine industry. Wineries who were there included Oliver Winery, Huber Orchard and Winery, Wildcat Creek Winery, and Owen Valley Winery, along with Indianapolis-based Easley Winery. Now, Mesmer has other bills he's working on during this session, and he says you can go to iga.in.gov and find resources to keep up with all that's happening at the State House.
You can find several resources to help stay informed about the legislature's work. With just a few clicks, you can watch live video of Indiana Senate and Indiana House debates and committee hearings. This website is an excellent resource and can be accessed at any time at your convenience.
Questions may be directed to Messmer's office at 800-382-9467. You can also email senator.messmer@iga.in.gov. Officials elected to govern 2 southwestern Indiana towns later this year will serve 3-year terms instead of 4. The town councils in the Warwick County communities of Tennyson and Elberfeld both passed ordinances last year to put their towns on the county's election cycle in order to save money. Cities and towns usually hold their elections separate from the counties, which forces local governments to pay election judges and other related costs. Tennyson Town Council President Scott Dowers says that moving to the county election cycle just makes sense. Now, Tennyson's election cost about $1,300 in 2011. Elberfeld paid about $2,000. When the 2 towns just northeast of Evansville hold their elections in 2018, those winners will serve the regular 4-year term. Finally this evening, straight party line voting with 1 click or mark of an election ballot would be eliminated under a bill that's being backed by Republican leaders in the Indiana House. The proposal would allow only votes for candidates for each specific office on the ballot. They would still be identified by their party affiliations. Republican Representative Dave Ober of Albion says he's sponsoring this bill because voters are now looking at candidates rather than political parties. Meanwhile, Allen County Republican Chairman Steve Shine says he's against the change because in some obscure races, voters often rely on a party affiliation to make choices. He says ending straight ticket voting could also mean longer lines at the polling places. All right, coming up after the break, Carrie is in next with our friends at the Dubois County Humane Society, plus your local forecast, sports with Kurt Gooksell, and Inform with Nancy Eckerly. That's all up next here on the 18 WJTS News. Local people watching local people.